I'll get things started, obviously, with the Falcons as the Falcons fan, unfortunately, in the family. But I honestly think the Falcons had a pretty good draft. One of the biggest complaints was the lack of pass rushing ability taken in the draft. But I think all things considered, I think they did a great job taking best player
Mhm.
available in the draft. I would have absolutely loved, and I think we would have been a great steal if he fell this far. If Ronnie Perkins fell all the way to the beginning of day 4, and the Falcons would have picked him
Mhm.
up, but your Patriots picked him up. Um,
Yeah.
but and so that I think would have been a great draft steal if he had fallen just far enough. But that all being said, taking Richie Grant with the second pick, I think trading back and then adding a fourth round pick as well
Mhm.
to go with that. They end up getting Drew Dahlman, which by all reports he could be the future starting center for the Falcons. Getting Jalen Mayfield, a big he played offensive tackle in college, but
Mhm.
will probably transition into left guard, and that easily is the spot that he could potentially compete for as a day one starter because he has the talent there. Maybe some things to still work on, but really the prize of the draft is with Kyle Pitts. I mean, that for me already puts the Falcons draft class into at least a B minus to a B. He is going to bring. He's going to be such a weapon for that offense, and with how creative we've seen Arthur Smith with that Titans offense.
Mhm.
I'm very excited to see how the Falcons do, and honestly wondering how our team's going to stop this offense. If they don't end up trading Julio Jones and Julio Jones can stay healthy, you have Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley uh, that Matt Ryan could throw to.
Mhm.
How do you, it's going to be one of those pick your poison. I
That
mean,
doesn't even include Russell Gage or Hayden Hurst.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, and so this offense is going to be absolutely deadly, and they're going to need to be because I think the defense still needs some work. I think the defense is
mhm.
going to improve over last year. That's not really saying much because the defense
Yeah.
was abysmal, so they're kind of already starting at the bottom. But I think a lot of the issues with the Falcons last year was coaching and schematic issues
Mhm.
or scheme issues, I should say. And that's where I think we're going to see a big improvement on. And honestly, in theory, with how dangerous this offense could be if everyone could stay healthy, and the offensive Jalen Mayfield could come in and be amazing, and the defense is average. This could be a scary team to play against, and they have a
Mhm.
weak schedule. They're facing 4 other fourth place teams, multiple other starting or multiple other rookie quarterbacks, and Jacksonville Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, New York Jets, and
Mhm.
Zach Wilson. Also, Sam Darnold's going to be learning their system in Carolina.
Mhm.
We don't know how Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston are going to react in New Orleans. So there's some potential. I could see the Falcons maybe going worst to first. Tampa Bay's still the team to beat, but
Mhm.
I think this was a great draft class to help them set up
Yeah, no,
themselves
definitely.
for the future.
With strength of schedule, uh, that was a tongue twister. With their strength of schedule, I could definitely see them winning 10 to 12 games this year.
Well,
Um,
and people don't. So the Falcons, they were 0-8 in one possession games last year, and
yeah.
5 of those they should have won. You know,
Mhm.
I think there were 3 games last year where they had a 99% chance of winning and lost. And I don't think any other team's ever done that before. So the team actually is there. Like, if you're just looking at the record, and if you see this
Mhm.
on kind of like the mainstream sports outlets that don't really follow the Falcons that much, that's why everyone was saying they need to get rid of Matty Ice. He's past his prime. You need to get one of these stud quarterbacks, and that's just really not the case. If you actually look down at the team, there's a lot of coaching issues, and they got rid of Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff as the GM, who Thomas Dimitroff has made good draft pick choices, but also hasn't really drafted a pass rusher, a successful pass rusher throughout his entire time, and so then also with scheme issues with Dan Quinn and also people not staying healthy. That was really like one of the main issues with the defenses over the past couple of years. So bringing in
Yeah.
a new regime and also an offensive-minded coach. I really think the Falcons are going to have a winning season this year, and I think they can make the playoffs. And I'm not just saying that as a fan.
Yeah.
I also am just looking at things on paper. I think they can easily make the playoffs this year with how also weak the NFC is.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that for me, that offense with Kyle Pitts, if they can keep Julio Jones, I think that's just icing on top of the cake. But for me, this offense is top 5 in the league, easy. I mean, you're talking about comparing it to Kansas City with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Tampa Bay with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. Like they are like that offense is that good. And for me, even if the defense can come in and just be average, I think they're a positive win team. So
I think so.
I do think they're going to struggle to beat teams like Tampa Bay that can go shot for shot with them. I think as Tom Brady gets more and more into that system, even though he is 44 or almost 44, that I still think Tampa Bay is far and away the favorite to win that division. But I think the Falcons are definitely on the right track, and they could definitely be contenders this year.
Yeah, and one thing to consider as well, I could see a lot of these NFC South teams potentially making the playoffs is not only the AFC East. Who would have thought that we'd be saying the AFC East would actually be a harder division to play than the NFC East? And that's who the NFC South is paired up with, because the NFC East is all those teams are struggling or rebuilding. Cowboys are the only one that maybe could be somewhat competitive this year. But then with them, the Falcons facing the NFC East, and facing a tough AFC East division as well, but with some question marks, could definitely see the Falcons doing well over this next year.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So that was sorry. I took a lot of that time as a Falcons fan. Definitely.
No. I mean, you know so much more about the Falcons than I do, just because that is your team. I do like the Richie Grant pick. I mean, he was one of the top 3 safeties in the draft. And then Jalen Mayfield for me is great value. I mean, he was a guy that I think we both had in our first round of the mock draft, and you guys got him at the top of the 3rd. Yeah. So, and then I know Drew Dahlman was a center for Stanford. He played for 3 years, and he can come in. I think you guys have almost 4 starting caliber players on your draft in this draft class right now. And that doesn't even include some of the guys that we didn't talk about that could potentially develop and become starters later on.
Well, and that's one of the things, especially there'll be a lot of starters from this draft class just because of how capped restricted the Falcons are. So I could potentially see a cornerback like Darren Hall coming in and being a 3rd cornerback on some plays. Avery Williams, cornerback that they picked at the end of the 5th round, he can't play cornerback, but he's probably was picked for his special team capabilities. Because right now Cordell Patterson is the backup running back, but also the special teams guy, and Avery Williams can probably compete with him on that matter. And we were talking about Julio Jones. If they don't trade him, one of the guys that might actually have to end up moving or released is Russell Gage, and Frank Darby could take that spot as well. So they picked up pieces that can definitely help them now and also in the future in all aspects of the game. And a lot of these guys are very versatile. So it'll be exciting to kind of see what happens, what transpires over the next couple months, and kind of see where all these pieces fall for the Falcons.
Yeah, no. If you were going to give the Falcons a grade, what would you give them?
So I really honestly adding Kyle Pitts, even if they trade Julio Jones, which that might be an interesting episode for us to do. We'll mark this one down on potential trade landing spots because it's looking kind of likely. But just taking Kyle Pitts and how much of a game changer he is, you can make a legitimate argument that he was just the overall best player in the draft. So just drafting him with that 4th pick and not a quarterback or the best defensive player, at minimum is a B for me. But I also think they address a lot of important spots with the safety and Richie Grant, who's very versatile. He could play inside. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Keanu Neal, a little bit, not as hard hitting. Jalen Mayfield coming in, he's versatile. He can play tackle if he wants to, but he'll probably move into guard because Caleb McGarry on the right tackle spot. Jake Matthews is one of the better left tackles in the league. And so moving him into left guard, I think, would be a great fit because he's a very active, very quick, nimble lineman. And I think that's going to be great in that guard position. So I would say B+, A- range. I think they were kind of stuck a little bit. I would have loved to see them maybe get a pass rusher, but I understand why they didn't. Just because
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
it's like for me one of the biggest holes you guys had last year was the ability to create a pass rush, and then also actually the running back position for me was something. I know you guys just signed Mike Davis, but for me, not addressing those two positions in this draft, especially like. I think you guys needed cornerback help, but I like round 4, guys like Chuba Hubbard were still there. And so for me, I would have liked to see a running back or defensive lineman taken before the 5th round. So for me, I'm going to give the Falcons a B+.
Well, and so
B to B+.
Well, and so that's where and we were talking about at this point, some of the day 3 picks. They're just going to be a different philosophical reason on why some of these picks are made. But the one thing like I thought about that too with the running back. I think if I'm not mistaken, Michael Williams was still available, or he was just taken. Actually, I think literally the pick before by the Jets. But with that 4th overall pick, that is what I would have thought. They would have done, and they ended up going cornerback. I think it's the same thing that Falcons have done in the past, and this is a new regime. It's not force picks, not try and fill a need, but still who is the best player available. And so, I think just to kind of just wrap up the Falcons, because I know passionate about this, but I think overall this was a good draft class for them. I'm very curious to kind of see. I really am looking at these first 5 picks: Kyle Pitts, Richie Grant, Jalen Mayfield, Darren Hall, and Drew Dahlman. Even also Taquan Graham. He had a good career at Texas. All these guys could come in probably on day 1. Well, also might have to come in on day 1 just because they need roster spots filled, and could contribute to the team. So it'll be very interesting to see the Falcons over this next year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree.